In 2019, over the course of 14 hours from a plane trip between Heathrow, London to Singapore, I lost everything I knew. The place that I had come to call home, the people that I come to call family, and the peace that I come to enjoy living in a small town called Nottingham. The moment I stepped onto the tarmac on Singapore's Changi Airport, everything was never the same again. And to cope with that grief and loss within me, I started using food to try and fill the gap within me. I ate and ate and ate just to feel the deep sense of void within me. Sometimes the pain would get so physical that it felt like someone had plucked a knife into my heart, wrenched out my heart, and left it out to bleed. And from being a board director to being a top student to being a regular conference speaker, one afternoon, I found myself in a psychiatrist clinic. Well, in that psychiatrist clinic, nobody looked at each other. Everyone was involved in either their phones or trying to read something. No one looked at each other. I was at the psychiatrist clinic after the advice of my psychotherapist, who recommended that I get some help. When I walked into that psychiatrist clinic, I remembered that deep sense of shame that I felt, the deep sense of incompetence, of not knowing why I had actually moved from being a board director to being a shell of myself, so lacking in confidence, so fat, and so unfit. And maybe that's you today. You feel a deep sense of shame as you battle depression at work. You wonder if you should tell your boss. You wonder if your colleagues should be told. You wonder if you should even be taking that medication. And today, I wanted to share with you 3 ways that you can help yourself through this period. Because there are 3 key myths that you are telling yourself which are completely untrue. And the first myth is I can't accept myself, or that I am weak. This is a myth that I found myself telling over and over again whenever I was trying to decide whether to take those medications. When I was first prescribed and advised to take medication, I walked out of the clinic and refused it. I told myself, I don't want to depend on happy pills. I don't want to depend on chemicals to balance the imbalances in my head. I can do this on my own. I didn't want to admit that I was weak. But when I went to my therapist, the first thing he said was, John, I take insulin jabs for my diabetes. And I'm going to say, I don't accept modern medicine because I need insulin jabs to balance the hormonal imbalances within me. No, I'm not going to say that. You haven't even tried, John. How would you know? I never saw my therapist so angry with me. And maybe that's you today as well. You're telling yourself, I don't need antidepressants. I just need another self-help technique, another book, another therapist, another coach. And whilst I'm not a doctor and I'm not saying that you need to take those things, I'm saying that when you dig deeper and you ask yourself, what am I fearful of? It comes down to this. You find yourself unable to accept yourself because of this particular station in your life. Taking antidepressants for me was a step in admitting that I had no control over this disease and that this was a disease that I needed help for. It was the time when I gave up control and I said, I can't manage this on my own anymore. I need to take medication. That's when it became real for me. And today, accepting yourself is about first forgiving yourself. It's about forgiving yourself for being in this state, because it's so easy to beat yourself up. It's so easy to say, I am weak. I am not strong enough because now I need to depend on medication, or I need to depend on a therapy, or I need to depend on a psychiatrist. Accepting yourself means forgiving yourself. Write down a letter of forgiveness to yourself where you tell yourself, this is what I forgive you for. Be specific about it. And more importantly, start loving yourself. And this brings us to our second myth. My boss will sack me if he knows what I'm going through. When I first started taking medication, I was very scared of telling people because I was afraid of getting sacked. If my boss knew, I thought, this is the end of my career. Very often we say that there is a taboo against discussing mental health in the workplace, but it is a two-way taboo. And I want you to ask yourself today, is the taboo also from you, or is it just from the employer? Because it takes two hands to clap. And sometimes what I've realized is that employers can be very understanding, but they cannot be understanding if they do not understand what you're going through, if they do not know or they are not aware that you're going through something like that. And from my experience, actually telling my supervisor did bring me a greater sense of acceptance and love. And she supported me to try and help to reduce my workload and to make things easier. She made herself more accessible, knowing that this was something that I was going through. Asking support is about being vulnerable, and it's about accepting that if your employer doesn't accept this and sacks you for this, then definitely there might be a problem there, and might be a good time to find a new place. Last myth is depression is a problem. In the Wild at Heart video series, one of the men is battling depression. And for him, after battling it for a few years, the key mindset shift for him came when he told himself that I am not someone who has depression, but I am someone who battles depression. Having this myth that depression is a problem that you need to overcome can sometimes force us to look away from the possibilities that depression offers. Depression is not only a problem, but it is a possibility. Depression is not only a problem, but a possibility. Depression is a stage. I don't mean this in terms of a life stage, but I mean is that depression is a stage for you to step up, to relook the things that you have accumulated in your life, the fame, the glory, the wealth, and to truly ask yourself, are these things ones that I'm truly, truly proud of? Or are these things that I should prune away? Depression is a stage where you step up and you begin to realize that this is not a stage where I perform or where I am perfect, but this is a stage where each and every day I celebrate my progress. It is a stage where there are no winners, there are no losers, there are no comparisons, but there is only you on that stage. And depression is a stage for you to dance, to fully express yourself, and to find yourself again. Today, we are struggling with depression at work. These three myths, that depression is a problem, that I cannot talk to my boss about depression, and that I am weak because I have depression are myths that you would want to reconsider. Let me close off with this story. In February 2020, when I stopped taking antidepressants, there was one night when I kept laughing and laughing after someone had shared a funny story. And that was when I knew that something had clicked within me, something had changed. But if not for the support that I got from my colleagues, the courage to talk about what I was going through, the vulnerability to walk into that psychiatrist's office and to tell him that I was not okay, I don't think I would have treasured that laugh. Depression is a valley, yes, but it's a valley when you explore your lowest lows and you also find your highest highs. And so today, depression is an invitation. It's an invitation for you to find yourself again.